Hey guys, Colorado Dave here, doing another video for Knives in Our Lives. That is my channel here with YouTube as well as my Instagram. So please do look me up and subscribe if you would. I'm pretty new to all of this. I've only been doing it for about a month. So if you would please give me a like or subscribe. A dislike's okay too if you don't like the video, but please comment and tell me why so I can learn from it as well, because this is, like I said, is new to me. But again, I'm just trying to share my knives with you, and I'm an enthusiast who enjoys knives quite a bit and likes to use them. I like to camp, I like to fish, I like to hike, I like to bike, I like to ski. I'm a culinary guy, so I use a lot of kitchen knives as well. I got some fixed blades that I use for when I go camping. Kind of just figured I'd share it all with you since I enjoy it. Pocket knives is kind of my big to-do that I enjoy the most and have the most fun with, and enjoy watching on YouTube, some of you other guys as well. And I've really just grown my love for it. And I've recently gotten introduced to Chris Reeve knives, and I couldn't be more excited about the experience. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster here in the beginning with them, but it's turned out great, and just kind of sharing my experience with you here online. So for any of you that did see my video that you may have stumbled across here, when I sent these out, this knife here, my large Sebenza, I've had for about 3 months now, 4 months. I guess I shouldn't say that's a lot longer than that. We're already into June, so we're saying what, 6 months? Yeah, so I've had it for 6 months now because I bought it in January. I didn't have it here for the last month and a half though. I sent it into the shop to get fixed. This one went in about 2 weeks later. When this went into the shop, I actually pulled the trigger and bought the Small Sebenza. And the Small Sebenza was going to keep me happy until I got the big one back from the shop. The problem is, once this got delivered, it had some issues as well, and it also went in the shop. So I'm just kind of doing a quick recap here with you guys on that I did get my knives back. I'm going to give you a full review on both of them here probably in the next month, if not sooner, as I'm going to be carrying them a lot, so I'll probably have a lot to say about them. This knife has been in my hands already quite a bit. It's probably seen, you know, at least 50 to 70% of my pocket time, just because I fell in love with it when I got it, and so I've been spending a lot of time with the large. I did have issues with the pivot. I couldn't screw it down all the way, and that's why it went into the shop. If I screwed it down all the way, the tension was too tight on the blade and it wouldn't come out properly. And then the bushing there for the stop pin was coming out if I didn't put Loctite in it. So I had some issues with having to basically put Loctite into both of those screws. So I sent it in and had it fixed. At the same time, I had some, I turned it into a double lug and I added the second lug to the knife. So that's what I did to this knife. The lanyard, I took that off because I'm just not a lanyard guy, which is fine. This is still very brand new out of the box, so I haven't taken the lanyard off yet, but I'm sure I probably will here soon. This is basically the same knife in the small. This is the Small Sebenza 31. This one has the black micarta inlays instead of the natural like the one above it. You can see how when this is breaking in, it's getting much, much darker. But I like that. And this will probably do the same thing and get much blacker, I'm guessing, as I wear it in and break it in. This is in the S45VN steel. This is in the S45VN steel. Whole story behind the steel on this blade, which we'll get into here in a minute. The reason this one went into the shop is had nothing to do with the pivot, had nothing to do with the bushing and the stop pin. The problem with this one was the actual blade was nice. It was like right out of the box. It had great action. I mean, it was fidgety. It was actually, it still kind of has it, to be honest. It has some tightness to it, but you can see, I mean, this is just right out of the box that you can flick the knife. I'm not one to flick these knives much. I just wanted to do that to show you guys that it's capable of it. But that is how that is out of the box. The issue with this one was totally different. The issue with this one is I screwed the pin all the way down. This pin stayed in no problem from the few times I played with it, you know, since I got it. The issue was if you push down on the blade real hard, the blade had a lot of give to it and a lot of play. I didn't know at the time on my earlier videos, I didn't know all the proper terminology, didn't know everything that was going on with the Sebenza 31 and the technology, but I have since learned, and that's what I kind of want to share with you guys in this video here a little bit, is what I've learned through this experience and what's acceptable and not acceptable with the Sebenza 31, and that it is truly a awesome knife. And so that's what I'm here to tell you about today. So anyway, so both of these went into the shop for very different reasons, like I said. I'm sorry, in addition to that, on the Sebenza with the S45, the Small Sebenza, I did question when I sent this in if it was S45VN steel or if it was S35VN steel. I questioned it just to get confirmation, since this was one of the first in the market that I had seen, if not the first in the market, saying that it was S45 on a Sebenza. So I was trying to get confirmation of that as well when I sent this in. But the main issue obviously was the lock rock, and then it had some play side to side as well in the knife. And so the blade definitely didn't feel right out of the box. So right when I got this out of the box, I had it for maybe a week. I was actually traveling at the time, coming back from Chicago to Denver. And once I got back into Denver, I went ahead and sent it off to Chris Reeve. And so they had both of my knives at that point to get fixed for obviously different reasons. So let's look at what happened. They've sent them back together, which is fine. I kind of thought they might, since they had them both, they would just wait till the second one was done and send them out together, which is what they did. The only thing I covered up here is my name and my address and all that stuff on this invoice. But this is what they sent me back with the knives. First off, the knives came back in this box, okay? And then there was a bigger outer box. But all this box really says is this is not the original box. And it's just saying, you know, FYI. But it's still a nice looking box, quite honestly. And then it had this paperwork in it. And then it had this cloth. Now this is kind of funny because I sent both of these knives off with their original claws that came in the original packaging, in the original, you know, when you open your box up and you get that nice big cloth that says Chris Reeve on it. I used those claws to wrap each one of my knives to send it into them, which I believe it said in the instructions you were supposed to do online, but I'm not positive on that. I could be wrong on that. Anyway, this cloth is smaller. It's not as big, and it does say Chris Reeve still, so it's still like a microfiber cloth. But this one, if you could tell, this is a shop cloth. It's got tons of, you know, stuff on it, and that's okay. But they wrapped one of the knives in this used shop cloth, and the other one they wrapped in paper, and they forgot all about the fact that I gave them two nice claws when I sent it in. So I did call them and I asked their customer service, hey, I just got my knives back. Thank you so much. They look great. But I didn't get my microfiber claws. Is it possible to get a couple? And they said yes, they'd send them out. So I'm sure I'll get those here in the next week or two. And all is good. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. But getting back to the paperwork on it. So they did send this back with the knife. And this is basically the invoice for it. You can see there's no charge on anything here because it was all warranted work. This is the parts, and then this is their notes on what they had done on the actual knives. It's interesting because if you look here, they did the spot treatment, they're saying, 2 each. So they're saying both of the knives went through the spot treatment. They're both basically brand new, so the spot treatment, I don't think they really did a whole lot. For some reason, they have the black micarta and the natural micarta inlays highlighted. I'm not sure why. I had my edge on the large Sebenza that I had already put on it. I told them ahead of time not to change the edge and not to sharpen it because I like the edge I have on it. So they did not mess with that, which is good. The other notes here, if you can see this, I'm not even sure if I'm on the camera 100%, hopefully I am. This here, it's gonna tell you, okay, the spot treatment, you go down to the second line here, it's saying blade drop point, which then it's saying uncut S45VN. And this is S31. So this is obviously small 31 Sebenza. The blade, they ordered a new blade, which was a drop point. I don't know what they mean by uncut. That means they had to cut it to order? I'm not positive. And then it's saying S45VN steel, 1 each, no cost. Okay, we'll explain that in a minute. I guess we may as well explain it now. That's for the small Sebenza, and that's this knife here. And remember I told them to check the steel to make sure that it was S45VN, which is what my birth date and what the outside of the box said on the package when I got it in the mail. It was actually S35VN, so they had the wrong steel on the actual knife, so that was kind of interesting. But what I like is they owned it, they changed it out, and made it right, and all is good in the world. We move forward. But what I like is they owned it, and they said that, you know, it can happen. You know, a few of them got out. I think the number I heard out of Tim Reeve's mouth directly was 16 of them got out. That was the exact number I ended up hearing before it was all said and done. And yes, I did talk to Tim Reeve. He actually reached out and called me out of the blue just to thank me for the business and to make sure that my knives were okay, because he thought, because he saw that I had two in the shop at the same time. There was a concern there. He doesn't know me from Adam. I don't know him. The fact that he reached out, I doubt he knows that I have a YouTube channel because it's so small and so brand new. So I'm sure he was just treating me as any other customer, which is awesome. And the fact is that he called me out of the blue to say, hey, I see that you have two knives in here. They're both Sebenza 31s. I figured I'd give you a call and talk to you a little bit about them and make sure you're satisfied and everything's okay. And I just thought that was awesome. And we'll get a little bit more into that after I get through all this. But anyway, S31, which means, again, Small Sebenza 31. This is saying the blade. That's the uncut. We already talked about that. I'm sorry. Next line down, it's saying double thumb lugs, small, silver. And it's saying $31, I think it's saying next to it. They didn't charge me the $31 for this set of thumb lugs because this one came with thumb lugs. So that's why it's saying no cost on them. Because they changed the steel out, I guess they must have had to reorder the thumb lugs to go onto it as well. In addition, for the small 31, they ordered a set of washers, and that had to do with the side-to-side play in the knife. And then they ordered a pivot bushing, which is very interesting that they had to order a new pivot bushing. Because again, that one just wasn't fitting properly. And I think that's where part of the issues were, where the knife was too loose and there was too much play in it. And it just has to do with those tolerances being exactly right. But again, I don't care. They fixed it. They made it right. They stood behind it. All is good in the world. We're going to move forward. And then here on my large Sebenza, the only thing they're showing as far as parts ordered is the double lug, thumb lug, excuse me, for the large silver. So a set of those, again, was 31 bucks. Maybe that's not $31. I'm sorry. That's L31 and small 31. So that's just the size. But again, they did tell me they were going to charge me 30 bucks on those originally. And then after they had both of my knives and everything, they actually came back to me. I didn't say anything. They came back to me and offered to do them at no cost, which was nice. They said, we're going to take care of the thumb lugs. Don't worry about it, which was really nice on their part. So anyway, I thought that was great. But that's basically what the invoice says as far as parts. Now, if you look down here at the bottom, where you look at the notes, I found this really interesting. Hopefully you guys can read this, and this is on camera enough that you can see it. Small 31, we replaced the 35VN blade with the new 45VN with the new washers, bushings, and thumb lugs. So so all those parts got changed on the 31 small. We also replaced the back with a new back to address the side play and the other issues. So they figured out what it was. They fixed it. Again, all is good in the world. They made it right. The large 31, we installed new silver lugs, which are the ones that I requested, so it was double lugged. There was an issue that was caused by a previous employee. We have addressed the cause of the issue. I find that funny because it's saying that, yeah, there was an issue. It was from a previous employee, and we've resolved it. And that's basically what they're calling the Tessa issue, as I understand it. And so they knew exactly what to do. The key is that whoever this one employee was that worked there at one point on the line and messed with the knife that had something to do with the pivot and that bushing, there was something being done there that was making it vibrate or act up and not work properly. Bottom line, they fixed the issue, and my knife couldn't feel any better as far as the large. I mean, the action is awesome, and so far, again, I've only had it for a day. With playing with it, I've seen no issues with the screws coming loose at all. But again, I'm going to check back in with you guys in about a week or so. But that's what they sent me back. I just thought you guys might like to see that. If you've ever sent your knife out or haven't, it just kind of gives you an idea of what the process is and what I've gone through to get to this point. The awesome part is I have them both back, and they're both awesome. I mean, they are in great shape. Both of them are smooth as can be. This one, I would say, by no means is it loose, but I would say it's looser than my large still. I don't know if it is. Maybe they're about the same now. But man, this one definitely has that hydraulic-y, brand new, out-of-the-box feel, but definitely not too tight as far as the detent. It feels really, really, really nice. I will end up taking that lanyard off. It's just newer, so I haven't done it yet. They offered to put a new one on when I got it back, so I feel obligated to have it on there for a little bit. But that's what's up with that. As far as the large one, the action couldn't be better. It's just stinking perfect. And this one I almost say is glassy versus hydraulic because it is that much smoother. It's just it's awesome. I mean, it's just really, really, really special the way that it opens and closes. So I'm excited to have both these back and be able to work with them and kind of share my findings with you as far as what I learned about these knives. But I'm looking forward to testing the steel on this one as well, because this does have the new S45VN. So you will be seeing a full-blown video on both of these knives. Probably starting out with this small one. Actually, I'll probably start out with the large because I have more experience with it and I have carried it a lot longer. So I'll probably work with the large first and then do an individual video on the small. But for today, I just wanted to do this unboxing of basically getting my knives back from the mothership, as they say, and getting them back from basically about a 6-week process from when the first one went in, 8 weeks at the most. Is what I've waited for this. They moved this one really quick. It only took about 4 weeks for the small one. And I think it's to accommodate that they could go back together, etc. But anyway, I do have them both back in hand. I couldn't be more excited. I look forward to sharing them with you guys. I guess I am gonna take one more minute because I haven't done it yet. And I wanted to explain the phone conversation I had. So right before they were shipping these knives out, they had called me to, go over the knife with me and ask any questions I may have, etc., which was really nice from service. And I said that I had some concerns about this lock rock, and that was the other major issue with the Small Sebenza that I had sent it in for. And that I was very concerned about it because you're telling me it still has some movement in it, and should I be concerned? And they're like, well, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. I'm like, okay, cool, if you guys say so, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And that was it, and I hung up the phone. I don't know, maybe a couple hours later or later that afternoon, I think I called them in the morning, I get a phone call and it's from Idaho. I'm thinking, okay, they're probably calling me about my knife because I don't know that many people. I do have a brother in Idaho, but it wasn't his phone number. And I said, it's gotta be Chris Reeve Knives, so I pick it up and I'm like, hello, and it was Tim Reeve. And I'm like, Tim Reeve, like from Chris Reeve Knives? I said, this is the Tim Reeve? He's like, yeah. And anyway, just what a nice guy, down to earth. And he said, hey, I noticed you have 2 knives with us. They're both Sebenzas and they're 31s. And you had issues with both of them. And the 31 that we just kicked it off this past year, there have been some minor glitches and we've got them worked out. It looks like you might have caught a couple of them that had some different things happen to them. And I just wanted to call you and make sure you were okay and you understood that, your knives are all right and that we got it resolved. And, I feel good about it, but I want to make sure you do, kind of attitude. I'm not speaking for him word for word at all, but that was kind of his attitude on the phone. And he goes, I just want you to have a better understanding of the knife and what's going on with it. And I said, that is awesome, and so he probably talked to me for 15, 20 minutes. And he went in great depth talking about, and I should share this with you guys a little bit because it was very informative and I learned a lot. He talked a lot about the new ceramic ball and the interface with the tang of the blade and how that is causing what they are calling lock flex, which is totally acceptable on this knife, okay? So if you can imagine, I think I just hit my camera, sorry there guys. Right here on the knife, okay, in this lower corner of the lock bar, there is a ceramic ball that sticks out just a little bit beyond the actual lock bar. So instead of the lock bar going up against the tang of the knife, like it normally would in the 21, Sebenza 21, it's actually touching that ceramic ball and it's not touching the titanium frame. And because of that, it means that the tang of the knife blade is actually sitting on the ceramic ball. It's basically this round ball, if you can imagine, with something straight on it. So it's gonna flex up and down like this a little bit. And that's just physics. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. And it makes perfect sense to me. On this knife, I have basically almost 0. And it's because this one is a little bit tighter blade. I think the blade's in there just a little tighter. In a positive way, not in a negative way. I enjoy it that way. I think it's great. So this isn't a good example, but if you get to this small one, even after this has been through the factory, this has been through service, it's been inspected, they made the changes, put the new blades on, the new washers, did everything. Tim Reeve himself even told me at the end of the phone conversation, he'd make sure to look at this knife before it went out, which, what more could you ask for, right? Unbelievable customer service. Anyway, this knife still has a little bit of that downward play, slightly. I mean, ever so slightly. But now I'm not freaking out. I'm not worried about it. I have no concerns about it. I know they've tested this blade for the lock strength, etc. No issues whatsoever. But it's interesting that that extra little bit of knowledge really, helps my comfort zone in better understanding this knife and just feeling that much better about it. And now I just love it that much more, to be honest, because the one thing I will tell you, because I've gotten to open and close a couple 21s recently, is you do feel that extra detent motion, where you almost feel like that double detent on the knife. You don't get that at all on this knife because of the way they do that ceramic ball. So I like the trade-off that you get, I guess is what I'm saying, for the new technology. And I'm totally okay with it now that I understand it better. And I guess I wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys. Again, the fact that Tim reached out, called me. I didn't call him, didn't ask to talk to anyone important. I didn't whine up to anybody over there. I just, we just talked about a couple things that were going on with my knives. And the fact that he just reached out and called like that, I thought was awesome. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't know that I even have a YouTube channel. I've never mentioned it. I wouldn't unless he brought it up. Nobody there knew anything about it, and it's very small. So what that tells me is that he does that for every single customer that would have a complaint like I did. And, that's a big statement. That's coming from, that's coming from the top of the company. So I think that's pretty awesome. Customer service was just as good, as well as service themselves when they reached out and called. So great experience, guys. Just wanted to share this with you. Thank you for your time here today. You will be seeing a review on both of these very soon. Thanks for your time today. We'll talk to you later.